Hi and welcome to a video on the upcoming set of nerfs for Standard and Wild in Fractured and Alterac Valley. As you can see here, I have a English correlation of the nerfs which are coming. You might have seen several screenshots circulating around the web and on Discord from Russian websites. But this is a comprehensive graphic showing the list of changes which are coming in the upcoming patch on the 25th of January 2022 for Fractured and Alterac Valley. So let's start off. I'm going to cover both Standard and Wild. I'm primarily a Wild player, but I do dabble in Standard as well. So I have been experiencing a bit of the rogue meta that has prevailed, and my MMR is particularly not great in Standard. I'm someone like a 6-time star bonus because I don't play enough, whereas I'm a top 200 Wild player. So I see a lot of Pirate Warrior, so these nerfs have an impact upon the way I play the game in Standard. Right, so first we have some of the most egregious outrages from the Standard format at the moment. Wild Porno and Scabs, they're both getting a mana bump up by 1, and Wild Porno is getting a attack reduction by 1. I think these two quite impactful changes, especially for Scabs. In Standard, Scabs being a turn slower is very relevant. From turns 7 to 8 enables Rogue to not deal as well with, say, Druid boards or other boards which are going very wide. You don't get that vanish effect on 7 consistently. You now get it a whole turn later, which opens up some room to attack the Rogue, do a lot of damage. And just coming down a turn later, we'll see if it's enough. I think some people were hoping for this to go to 9. So time will tell. Blizzard might come back and reevaluate it later. Whereas Null getting a mana bump and an attack reduction, it decreases the damage output that Rogue can do by a fairly significant amount. I mean, you can't passage on 1, play 2 Nulls and beat for 20 over a couple of turns anymore. It's still very strong, and perhaps I'd like to see this go to non-rogue cards, the text on it. I feel like this is still a bit of a problematic design, 0 mana 3/5, but it potentially comes down a turn later, and that could be a huge deal, especially as passage isn't getting hit in this set of nerfs. So up until the next expansion and rotation, I think Wild Porno is still going to be a pretty strong card. For Wild, these two cards are, of course, this is a massive hit. I mean, in Wild, 1 mana, 1 turn is so much more impactful than it is in Standard, because games are so much quicker and there's so much more agency you have to have in developing your board, doing damage, and countering your opponent. So Scabs and Null were seeing quite a bit of fringe play. People were experimenting with them. I mean, they're very strong effects. I was personally playing them in Reno Rogue. I know people were playing a Tempo Rogue list, which was doing quite well, and some people were considering Sleeper, with Maestra, Double Agents, Null, the whole lot, and Edwin's Smite, etc. I think the Scabs nerf pushes him out of those, not necessarily out of the lists, but they have to adapt to the fact that turn 8 in Wild is very, very late, and I'm not sure whether rogue decks that are aiming to finish the game by turn 6 are winning if they come back mechanism of Scabs. I mean, his effect is still very strong, but we'll see. He might still be a player. Null probably might find a home, but as I said before, the damage output on this is significantly lower. Cloak of Shadows sees a mana bump, so another whole turn later effect. Hits Poison Rogue in Standard, hits Pillager Rogue in Wild. Again, a turn later is a big deal. In Wild, this means you can't dodge a combo for another turn. It means you can't play this plus a draw card as effectively on turn 6, perhaps, or prep it on a certain turn you might need to. So it's a very impactful change for Wild. Pillager Rogue might be straying into the realms of unviability. We shall see. But in Standard, Poison Rogue, very uninteractive playstyle. I mean, I don't think many people were happy about Poison Rogue being a thing. It was sort of the boogeyman of the format. I saw people who were playing Poison Rogue like Meaty on stream complaining about it. I don't think it's a deck anyone really wants around. Same for the next card. Incantus Flow sees another mana bump. This is now the second nerf to the card, 3 to 4. Discount your whole deck by 1. Misaki Mage, I think, probably dies in standard now, which I don't think anyone will lament. This being a whole turn later, wasting your turn 4, getting less mana reduction is pretty large. In Wild, we'll see with the upcoming Wild specific changes that this 99% kills off any Mage deck that was looking to play the APM package, so Flamewaker Mage, etc. 3 to 4 might see play one day, but as we'll see, the upcoming changes to Sorcerer's Apprentice mean that in Wild, I think this strategy is kind of gone, which time will tell if it's a good thing. But yeah, I know a lot of people didn't enjoy this Solitaire Mage playstyle, and we'll see where it goes from here. Next one's a bit weird. This is actually a buff. The Rakara hero card getting buffed from 5 to 10 armor. So most notably, this means in standard you can drop this on 7 and play Shield Shatter, which is the 10 mana deal 5, but it gets reduced for each armor you have on turn 7. So you can play this and then play that card for free to deal 5 to the whole board. We'll see where the standard meta goes. This is quite a powerful effect, and gain 10 is pretty strong. I mean, her hero power is not bad. The problem is her weapon, but the 10 armor gain is a lot of armor, and being able to drop that Shield Shatter on the same turn might be relevant. I mean, this also is a buff indirectly to Galvangar, the 6 mana 9/9 charge. If you've gained armor this game, you know, this is another +5 armor towards that. Rakara becomes a little bit more interesting. For Wild, she still might be too slow. However, I have been killed by this card, and I expect it to happen again. My Snowfall Guardians for 13 hit me in the face more than once. Several clips of that on my channel you can find. So we'll see if she sees any play Fringe in sort of memey Wild decks, but in standard, is this enough to push Control Warrior up to viability? It's hard to tell because the main board-based deck Rogue is being touched, so yeah, we'll see. This next one is actually a nerf to Raid the Docks. I think a lot of people expected this quest to be banned in Wild due to the sort of very quick completion that it gets, but instead we're seeing a nerf. I think this is because it has an incredibly high play rate and a slight problem at lower MMRs in standard. I mean, when I play standard, I'm not a standard player generally, so I have a 6 times something like star bonus when I don't get to legend. And I was facing something like 53% Pirate Warrior in my latest climb up to diamond, which was really, really boring. And I know it's Rogue Stone at higher legend, but I think that's the reasoning behind this Pirate Warrior nerf. It might also be a nod towards Wild. I mean, the quest is very problematic in Wild in that it loses to a bunch of the good decks, but it pushes out everything slower than Warlock. Really, it's all the old archetypes, Reno Priest, most other greed-centric decks were pushed out by this quest, which isn't a problem. I mean, formats evolve over time, but it created a bit of a feel-bad atmosphere as someone who enjoyed Reno Priest. Golding my entire Reno Priest last expansion only to have 1 card printed which invalidates it frustrated a lot of Wild players, and they've bumped the second stage from 2 to 3. This makes a turn 5 or 6 Rakara much more difficult, especially when you're on the play. So now you have to play 8 pirates in total instead of 7. So you can't get like 1 drop Rakara on turn 6. It's a lot more difficult. So this might open up a bit of space for other archetypes to work around it. Thinking your priests with Spirit Lash and Breath of the Infinite and all that can actually have a chance to clear the board before Rakara comes down, which was often a sticking point in those archetypes. Let's look at the next lot. So these are the Wild specific changes. Sorcerer's Apprentice has essentially been removed from the game. On the left here is what I think a lot of people were expecting. On the right is what's actually happening. So on the left, we have a 2 mana Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is what it currently costs, but with spells less than 1. or spells can't cost less than 1. I think this is what a lot of people were expecting, a text change, but instead we've had a mana change. So Sork's gone to 4. I think this is to solve an interaction with Drekthar, and the cynical part in me says that this is done to completely destroy the card for competitive decks, to solve the cheating problem at High Legend. I mean, there's a huge cheating problem with animation cancelling involving Sorcerer's Apprentice, and I think they decided, let's remove its interaction with Drekthar. Let's make it 4 mana so that it works for meme decks. It still has the capability to reduce spells for 2-0, but let's keep it out of those high tier decks, because this nerf destroys the card for those decks. I mean, you have to play your Ignite combo of Chandler and Sork on turn 6. You now have to have another Mana Biscuit. You just don't have the time to do that in Wild most games. It can happen, yeah, sure. I've played Ignite Mage a bunch. I'm a Ignite Mage apologist. I was during Seedlock meta, because it was the one deck which destroyed that and alignment. So I've played my fair share of it, and this kills it. Kills APM Mage as a side note, because of the Drekthar interaction and the huge mana bump, which a lot of people are sad about, because that's quite a fun deck, but again, quite unhealthy for the play patterns it introduces of forcing everyone to run Loatheb, Unraveler, Watch Posts, etc. A lot of that tech W should disappear now. However, we'll get back to that in a minute. Rapid Fire goes from 1 mana deal 1 twin spell to 2 mana deal 2 twin spell. I think this nerfs a lot of Odd Hunters high rolling. Time will tell to see whether the deck is playable without it. I mean, you can't OTK people as easily. If you play Reno now, you shouldn't necessarily die, because a lot of those lines involved tracking into Rapid Fire to deal obscene amounts of damage with the 3 damage hero power. I'd perhaps rather have not seen this card destroyed, because this card used to be a feature in some meme decks like Malagos Hunter, and completely removing this card essentially from the game, because 2 mana deal 2 twin spell is quite bad. That's a 4 mana deal 4. It's not very good, let's be honest. Does remove some of those strategies. It could see some play in Even Hunter or a non-odd version of Quest Hunter, but I think that's very presumptuous. The non-odd version of the Quest has already been tested and isn't great. Some people had a little bit of success with it, but it phased out because it was rubbish, basically, compared to Odd Quest Hunter. And now that the meta might slow down a tiny bit, that's going to be even worse, I think. Now, what does this mean for the wild meta as a whole? People were scared when they talked about nerfing Pirate Warrior and Odd Hunter and Mage, which was the presumption and what's happened. That things like Pillager Rogue would get better, but Pillager Rogue's also seen a hit. We've had Cloak of Shadows reduced. Any combo strategies which fight against Pillager will have an easier time of killing them. Any aggro will have an easier time of killing them. I mean, Evasion is still an Ice Block. The deck still has 4 copies of Ice Block, but it wasn't great to begin with. It was a high roll deck. You can interact with it quite well, but I think people are still going to try and play it, and the people who are good at the deck will play it a lot, because Pirate Warrior is slowing down. That was one of the main counters, and Mage is also slowing down. Yeah, less Ice Block around might mean more Pillager, but I wouldn't hold out any hope if you are a Pillager enjoyer that your deck is significantly better. Unfortunately, we didn't see a change to Shaman in Wild. I think we needed to, specifically Flurgle Tox or Parrot. I am a big proponent for Parrot to not work how it does. I think the card is incredibly annoying, to put it bluntly, and the Ice Fishing combo is also a little bit overtuned. We're going to see a lot of Druid versus Shaman games where it's just, oh, Shaman's going to try and find rat. Did we rat the Line Cracker or Mechathune? Oh, we win the game. Mechathune Warlock is another thing which is similarly uninteractive. So Shaman's going to be freezing the board, and Odd Hunter's not there to push it out. You're going to have them ratting all the other decks. I think Shaman's big winner from this, basically. Removal of Odd Hunter. Might see Secret Mage come back. I know that's something not many of you will want to hear. Might see Big Priest as well. What have we done? Asking for wild nerfs. What have we done? Oh no. But this opens up a little bit of experimentation room for much slower strategies. I mean, there already was some. I think Reno's strategies are somewhat overlooked a little bit in the current wild meta. Everyone assumes, oh, they're completely unplayable. But Reno Paladin was half decent. I think there was definitely some room for experimentation there. In wild. As for standard, will the rogue nerfs be enough? I mean, maybe. I mean, 1 mana nerfs on these 3 cards is significant, and Druid was already doing okay against them, so we'll see who the next big bogeyman of standard is. I don't think Warrior is going to become the control class they really want it to do until they get some more interaction with hand outside of Mutanus, but what do I know? I'm a filthy wire player who can't tie my shoes. But thank you for watching this video. These nerfs aren't 100% confirmed. They are leaks. I had seen them about a week ago, but I was prompted to make this video because the Russian site that leaked these has become very popular and widespread, and almost everyone in the community has seen them already. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have fun when the patch comes out. I'm definitely looking forward to playing some favourite decks that I haven't played for a while, including LPG Mage, and seeing Copium if they can compete. Do check me out on Twitch when I do it, twitch.tv/engine, links in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and have a fantastic day.